Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. It is Thursday morning. Let me fix this. I'm all crooked. Good morning. Yes, it is I, the badass Buddha. I am waiting with bated breath that Gladiator Guru comes on. I'm going to assume that she has connectivity issues. So hopefully she will pop on at some point. We do have a guest today. So we will welcome her whenever she gets on, and hopefully she will get on. But we will welcome her and be happy to have her come on whenever she shows up. So good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Milagros. For those of you that are in the Northeast, especially in the Connecticut, New York metro area, it is gloomy. It is rainy. Man, I'm telling you, I don't remember seeing this much rain in a while, and I already know what's going to happen. We're going to go into a very hot summer, and it's going to be humid and dry. We're probably not going to get any rain at all. So then they're going to start saying fire alerts. We actually got a little bit of a fire alert yesterday, I think it was. And in my head, I'm going, how? We've had so much. We've had more rain than California, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, like all these places. And yet we had a fire risk. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, we'd love for you to ping people in the room. You can tell I'm on Clubhouse a lot. Don't forget to share this broadcast this morning to get more people on, invite people, link it to your pages and say on now live, join us. The more the merrier, because we're going to have a great conversation today. And the title was actually created by Gladiator Guru. So the title is Passion, Purpose, and Potato. So we're going to, hopefully she will be on to enjoy the conversation with us. And look at Kathy's so good. Kathy's always sharing. So thanks, Kathy. And we appreciate everybody. And don't forget, we do have that YouTube channel. So we know most of you come on through Facebook, which is totally fine. But we would love to see you on that YouTube channel as well, and share it with other people. Get people to subscribe. And I think you can go to our YouTube page and then copy the YouTube page at the address, and then send it to everybody you know, and then say, hey, do me a solid and subscribe to this fabulous show, because we would love to see more people come on and be able to reach more people. And that being said, I can't wait to have Gladiator Guru back. She will be back next week. However, I'm truly enjoying the fact that she is enjoying herself, as is Ivica. They've had some phenomenal breakthroughs and releases. And how about those pictures that we're getting from them? They're just spectacular, such wonderful pictures. So I'm thrilled to have her back, but I'm almost sad to see her trip end. I mean, 3 weeks goes by so rapidly, right? So what does that tell us? That tells us that we need to create jobs that allow us to go away for 4 to 6 weeks, right? Never could figure that out. Like I would have friends or friends, family members come and visit from Europe, England, whatever, and they'd come for like 4 to 6 weeks. And they'd say, yeah, I'm on vacation. And when in the US do we ever get 4 to 6 weeks off? Never, right? It's like we're lucky. Some places don't even let you take 2 consecutive weeks off. They'll say you have 2 week vacation, you can't take them together. So that just kind of shows you that we've been doing it all wrong over here. In Italy and in France and in Spain, they'll still in the smaller areas close down for lunch, right? That big span of lunch, that 2 to 3 hour window where they just shut their place down, and they're still in business. So we definitely do it wrong. We work through our lunch. We don't stop. We work till late in the evening. We're always on call. We're always checking our emails. So maybe we're the ones that just need to put the boundary up and create the life that we need to live. So that being said, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. Who else came on? Good morning, Ruthie. Good morning, Janine. I'll type everybody's stuff in a minute. It's hard to do one thing and not hand off the mic to somebody else. So what we'll do is, because we have our fantastic guest here and ready to go, we will go ahead and set the intention for today, and we will do the mantra, and then we will get our guest on and start this conversation. So get ready for our intention. And remember, it's very simple, folks, very simple. Our intention for the day is to be intentional and to be grateful. It's the same every day, but the intention does not need to be the same. If you're setting an intention, make it a different intention if you want to every single day, or keep it the same for a few days if you haven't accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. So set your intention, be intentional today, whatever that may be. It's raining outside. Maybe my intention is to go walk in the rain and enjoy myself. Right? Just take a walk. Or this morning my daughter and I had a little adventure with a very big bullfrog. And I was going, okay, well, it's almost time for the show. And this is like 10 minutes to start. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. This is like once in a lifetime thing with her. And there we were, this huge, huge bullfrog. We live across the street from a pond, but usually the bullfrogs stay in there, and we see tons of other frogs in the yard. But I don't think I've seen a bullfrog in years. And this thing was like, it was like this big. The body was this big. And my daughter got excited. She picked it up. Big guy, but boy, did this thing move. And I said, okay, let's put it across the street back into the pond. And so we took pictures, and then we brought it across the street. So we took the time for that. You know, I wasn't going to say, oh, you know what, I got to get on my show. I could have been a few minutes late. And I ended up not being a few minutes late anyway. So sometimes we have to seize those moments. So for me, my intention is often on a daily basis my intention is always to be mindful every single day. But sometimes I slack a little bit on the intention of making sure I spend quality time with my children. And even though that was a short period of time, it was still a memory. Because we could talk about, remember we saw that huge bullfrog outside the garage, you know? So we've created that. So, and you can set your intention at the beginning of your day, throughout your day. You can always create a new intention, and you can end your day with setting the intention for your sleep. I'm going to have a beautiful night's sleep. I'm going to have fabulous dreams, and I'm going to remember my dreams. And always go with gratitude. Be grateful for what we have. Don't focus on what you don't have, or what you don't have yet, or what you don't have any longer. Be grateful for what you have, because we are always thinking in so many other terms, and who we are right now. Even if you're not in the most perfect health, just be grateful for the health that you have, and set the intention to have better health for today and for tomorrow. All right, so let's do our mantra. Good morning, Arlene. Good morning, Melissa in the house. So for those of you that are jumping on late, Gladiator Guru, I'm not sure what's going on with her. She must not have a great connection. Otherwise, she'd be on. So we're going to go on with the show. We have a fabulous guest today, and hopefully she will join us at some point. Let's set our, let's say our mantra. Say it loud, say it proud. Repeat after me. Get ready. I am a disruptor. I am unapologetically courageous. I am spiritually grounded. I am magically orgasmic. And I am beyond authentic. Give yourself a big arms up. Hug yourself if you want to hug yourself. You are amazing. Go about your day being that amazing self. Remind yourself of that mantra every single day and throughout your day. All right? Because you are what we need in this world. All right. So here we go. I'm going to have our guest introduce himself. But he's fabulous, and he's young and fabulous. That's the most fabulous part. He's when we give out topics, we tell guests, which topic do you like? What resonates with you? And he picked this one. Our topic today is passion, purpose, potato. And we're going to talk to you about what that means. And we're going to have a lot of fun with this today. So get ready to take some notes or make some mental notes to yourself. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Stefan Zavalin.
Thank you.
Yay, there he is. Hi, Stefan. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It is a beautiful 5 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast.
Yeah,
So,
so listen, we honor our West Coast people that always come on so bright and early. And the irony is, we have not had one West Coaster that did not look more awake and better than us East Coasters. So there's most of the time they get on and Gladiator Guru and I look like we're like a hot mess and we're still tired. And they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. So we applaud you. We applaud you. So
and maybe that's why we move out to the West Coast. Is all this amount of energy. We need more time.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, you don't have to say, my sister moved out to California 32 years ago from the East Coast, and she has never looked back. She loves it out there. So, all right. So, Stefan, go ahead and introduce yourself to the crew, and I'm going to just start typing in and doing shout outs to everybody in the comments. So,
Sure.
take it away.
Well, I am usually known as the movement guy. I love movement. I have a company that's called Love to Move. So there's a lot about loving movement, but I came to this in a very interesting way. So all throughout childhood, I really got into movement, and I loved playing. I loved climbing. I loved doing all sorts of things. Inevitably, however, things come to an end, and I found music right around middle school. And so I got away from movement and went full on into music. And eventually that led to me getting overweight, and that led to a whole lot of different bad relationships with food, the way that my parents kind of shamed me about my body weight and all these things. And I started getting back into movement, but I got back into sort of the exercise sides of things. I was like, okay, I have to exercise. I have to do these things. And so that led me to going into undergrad for kinesiology, which is effectively exercise science. And then eventually I got into physical therapy, which I got my doctorate in physical therapy. And it was all for this kind of love of movement. It was during that time in physical therapy school that I had sort of this huge life-altering event, which, because we're talking about, passion, purpose, and potato today, I got a parasite in my eye. Another P word. There you go.
Wow.
For all those wonderful things. And it got misdiagnosed for a while, and long story short, several surgeries later, having to step out of grad school for a while, then go back in to finish the doctorate. Effectively, I lost my vision and I became legally blind. Nevertheless, I finished my doctorate, I got my degree, I got into the clinic, and I was working as a physical therapist for a while. And even though I wasn't seeing well and I was just trying to go, okay, this is at least my blessing, at least I can do hands-on things, and that's wonderful, I realized I'm just not having the impact I want to have. It's not just about the one-on-one interactions. Those are great, but I'm seeing the issues. My patients are getting better, but then a year later, they come right back to me, and it's something bigger out there. And so I started my own company that basically helps change this culture that we have around desk work. The way that we actually do the work, I think, can be done much better. You even talked about vacation, how we're doing all of this, and that we're not giving ourselves the times and the breaks. And if I looked back at all of the sitting that I did through school, just to get to finishing grad school, I had about 20 years of sitting that was kind of taught to me. And so I've kind of gotten out, and I'm really trying to talk to people and help people reduce how much they're sitting. But also, because of the whole aspect of losing my vision, there's a lot of this idea of kind of that purpose and that passion. Because if I didn't care about this, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to wake up at 5 in the morning and talk about movement of all things. So in that way, I've really found my passion and my calling in talking to people about movement at their work.
Well, and I think, good morning, Gladiator Guru. We're so happy that you're here. And look how fabulous you look, by the way. You look fantastic. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Gladiator Guru? Oh, she can't. A little bit. Okay. You could see everybody. She did her hair yesterday, she said, and you look great, Gladiator Guru. You look great, Gladiator Guru. I don't know if she hears us. So there she goes. All right. So
it's coming in kind of choppy, but maybe it's because I'm in Finisterre by the lighthouse, so maybe the connection's not so good.
Okay. All right. No worries. You look great.
But, I'm trying to hear you.
Yeah.
So, hello, Stefan.
So, what I think is very amazing, and I've heard this from so many people, Stefan, is that there's something, you had a path, you're on a path, you're in school, and then something happens that was unexpected. And rather than sideline, making you sideline, you you took a break, you went back, you finished, but then you found another purpose. And I think that's the key thing with when I sometimes struggle with and get annoyed with the sentence finding your you got to find your passion, you got to find your purpose. Some people find that very stressful because it is they're like, oh my god, I got to find my passion and find my purpose. Sometimes your passion and your purpose find you, and that you have to. So the key is all you have to do is just keep working on yourself, finding yourself, moving in a direction, and then your passion and purpose will come to you. Because there's so many people out there that started in one direction and it didn't, and that they didn't end in that direction, or they stayed there for a little while, but then they shifted because of opportunities or experiences that they had in the direction they were going and realized, hey, this is better for me. You didn't get that understanding. You do what you do today because of what you experienced as a child. If you grew up and you were, in great shape and active and, the normal weight, and you ate right, you may not have been here, but then again, you might have found another passion or purpose, right? When you had that happened with the infection in your eye, you might not have gone in this direction. And listen, tribe, I'm not saying that we want you to have all these bad things happen for you to discover your passion and purpose. What he did was he just opened himself up to it. When the moment you open yourself up to it, that is when you find it. It's if you are right. Would you agree? Like if you're pushing yourself and giving yourself that pressure to look for the passion and the purpose, oftentimes it's very eluding to you, correct? What do you think?
I agree. I think the easiest thing is I think you're absolutely right in saying it kind of finds you and you don't have to look for it that hard. Because if it's truly your passion, it's those things that you're probably thinking, oh, I can't do this as a job because it doesn't pay. Well, you just haven't found a way to make it pay, maybe necessarily, if that's what we're talking about. But you're probably already doing it, because if it's truly your passion, that's the thing that when you come home, you go, okay, I really want to do this. And some people would argue that, okay, so is watching Netflix really just my passion? If you feel invigorated and entirely passionate about it, and it just makes you feel completely alive, which a lot of times if we just plop out on the couch, that's not the thing that makes us feel alive. But if there's that one thing, it's probably already in your life. You're just not letting it be the majority of your life.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's there.
And I love, so Gladiator Guru came up with this title, Passion, Purpose, Potato. And I love that title. The potato piece is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gladiator Guru, it's a sack of potatoes, right? So do you want to live your life with passion? Do you want to live your life with purpose? Or do you want to just sit on the couch like a sack of potatoes, right? That's what you had in mind, Gladiator Guru? Can you hear me? I know your connection is okay. I'm sorry. So this is the truth. If you are stationary, and I've been guilty of this, like I'm not even going to say that I have not been, that we get up every morning and we go, I'm so tired of my same life. I'm so tired of the way my life is going. Nothing new is happening, but you do the same thing every day. And then you expect something new to happen. And very rarely does that happen. It's only in movies. You go to your work and all of a sudden this handsome man or this gorgeous woman walks in or just breaks down, and you happen to decide to pull over this way, these chance meetings, or you just happen to veer off and get gas and you're like, let me buy this one lotto ticket, and you hit like the $50 million, but even then that is still doing something different, right? But you're doing your same thing, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. And we wait for it. We wait for those magical moments to happen instead of making the magical moments happen. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do things very different today. Instead of taking this route to my job, I'm going to go this route. Yep, it's going to take me a little bit longer and I'm going to have to leave a little bit earlier, but maybe I get to see things differently. Maybe I get to experience things differently. I get a better view. And it opens us up to any and all possibilities when we veer off our typical path. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And this is the part where most of the times this action, this something that might happen to you. So in my case, it sort of happened to me in a way, but this action, it helps kind of push you into that direction. But even if your life is exactly the same and you feel I have no control of changing it, I can't leave a single minute early. I'm on a specific clock. It just can't happen. Arguable, you probably could do just a little bit here or there, but I think the way that you start the show is the way that we can start any day. Is what's your intention with all of those things?
Yes.
Because you can either keep your intention exactly the same, or you can do the same things, and every day your intention can be a little bit different about something else. Because your mind is ever present and ever in your control. And a lot of times I think that's the thing, is we let other people and things control our mind completely. And so then, yeah, it feels like we have no time to spend and we have no passion, no purpose, and no control over our intentions.
Even if you have, so let's stay with this scenario. If you have no time to leave early, okay, then do something different in your commute, or do something different in your day. When you go to lunch, go somewhere else. Or go for a walk, or do something. And if you go for a walk normally, then go in a different spot to go walk. Like a lot of times, this is what happens. We just get into a routine. And we get up, we get dressed, we get our coffee, we get in the car, we go drive, we listen to the same station, or we listen to our Pandora or whatever. And we do the same thing rather than like mix it up, listen to something else, do something with your time wisely. Listen to an audiobook, listen to a TEDx talk, because Dr. Stefan has a TEDx talk, which I put into the comments that you can click on. Okay. But do something different. When you come home, make something different for dinner. Or if somebody else cooks for you in the house, ask them to make something different. Sit in a different spot in the house. There's so many silly little things that we can do that can open us up to different things. And, we only have ourselves to blame when we keep saying things like, I'm so bored with my life. This is, I'm just so sick and tired of this. But you do the same thing over and over again. And we have to take accountability for that. It's not saying that you can't have your moments to be that sack of potatoes on the couch, because every so often we do need that downtime, right? I mean, you can't go all the time. And we make it sound, right, Stefan, that TV is like horrible. Like, oh my God, I like what people declare. I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV. Okay, good. But then they're on their phone. That doesn't count. But I think of it this way. It's like, if you do it a little bit, it's fine. But it's when you're doing it all the time, then that's a problem.
Absolutely. And a fun one, if you are somebody who's really into I want to shake things up a whole lot, do your day in reverse if you have the ability for it. So even to the point of you can eat your dinner for breakfast and like those kinds of things, that will completely change things for you if you try to do that. Not a lot of us have that flexibility with our schedules, but if you can, wow, it will spin life completely upside down. And then the other part, of course, is if we're talking outside of our day, travel can be one of the best ways. If you really want to reset how you're thinking about these things, you can just take a drive on one of the weekend days, just somewhere out. It will change you, because if you're constantly in the same environment, even to a different part of town,
yes,
it just changes things. It's a brilliant way. We just finished driving across the country. As I said, we moved up. I'm in the West Coast. We just got here 2 days ago. But that was I felt like a month went by and it was barely over a week that we were driving. So it really is.
And you went from where to where?
Nashville to Los Angeles.
Okay. So, not my favorite pick for California. I'm just saying LA, but yeah. So you went from Nashville, Tennessee to California, and you were living in Tennessee. That where you were living for a bit?
Yeah. Well, pretty much that's where I grew up. I originally was born in Russia, and then we moved when I was 7 to Nashville, Tennessee, of all places.
Wow. So, So was there a reason you moved to California specifically?
It's a combination. Part of it was we have friends out here, and we wanted to be closer to them because we haven't lived next to them for a while. The other part was finding those sort of negative and binding relationships that were holding us back in Nashville, and realized that it wasn't going to be just about setting up that boundary of saying no. It had to be a physical boundary to a degree as well. So
yes, I'm right there with you. And the irony is I was actually looking at Tennessee to move to for my boundary, but that's so funny. But you know, that's why, and you know what, you're right, because look at Gladiator Guru. She is currently in Spain. She was walking the Camino from Portugal to Spain for 3 weeks, and she has a little less than a week to go. And the thing is, you know, you have to get out of your environment. And you have to, especially when you go into places that you've never gone before. She's gone there on the Camino before, but she went to a different spot. And you have to go to places that challenge you a little bit. You know, like for me, I was feeling stuck in a rut myself, and I had the opportunity to go to Costa Rica in February, and it was mind opening for me. It was necessary for me. There was clutter that just couldn't be cleaned out, and that allowed it to be cleaned out to let me become clear in some things. Now I'm feeling the pull to have to get out again, not just, you know, for another little trip, but then the other piece is, yes, I've got to get out of my environment and relocate permanently. Gladiator Guru talks about the fact that she's a nomad. You know, she would love to be able to have a nomadic lifestyle where she loves to travel. She loves to meet people. She connects with people. She wants to be able to set herself up to where she can do that. But she also does have a business that's going to keep her where she is. But to be able to know, though, that she has options and say, okay, I'm going to run this here for a bit, and then I can take a break, and then I can go here. And she doesn't let herself sit too long in one place.
No, I don't. I clone myself the traveling magician, because anywhere I am my business. I can paint anywhere. I can write anywhere. I can speak and coach anywhere. I can roast my coffee, bag it, and sell it anywhere. It's just the coffee cart that I have to start it there. But I think that I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm in a cafe. When you choose to be stagnant, of course, it's like you keep hitting your head against the wall. Even if you do something different to just give you some type of clarity, then you can see the direction you want to go in, and then you go back to where you were, and you figure it out, and you start doing the legwork to get out of it. But if you stay stuck and only think about wanting to do something different, and then make excuses, well, this and that and this, well, and you're digging your own hole. And how are we going to help you get out of it? I think that's key, to surround yourself with people that's going to say, cut the shit, get your shovel, and let's get to work. Right?
That's right. That's right. Where do you think, Stefan, when you went through everything that you were going through? Because let me tell you something. PT school is hard. PT school is like chiropractic school. It's the same, you know, and you, to go with it with having sight issues is even more challenging, right? But you kept going. You didn't decide and say, you know what, I can't do this. Like, this is going to be impossible. You figured, I'm going to make this work. I always think of a story when I was in chiropractic school. There was a girl that was a year behind me, and we were getting ready. It was a boards weekend, right? National boards. And she was pregnant, and she literally had her baby on a Friday at home with her husband. They didn't need, the midwife is there, but he actually delivered the baby. They wanted to do it this way. She had the baby Friday and showed up for boards on Saturday and Sunday, took her boards and passed. And I always think to myself, anybody who says, oh, these are too hard, I can't do it. This woman managed to study, have a baby, show up for the boards and pass. And luckily they were very accommodating. They allowed her to strap the baby, because boards are all day long, people. These are not just like come in for an hour. You're there all day. You're there from morning till afternoon, and then you go home and then you study some more for the next day's boards, right, which are all day. So they accommodated her in that sense, but it didn't mean that she still would have passed, but she did. And we have to make a decision. We are stronger than we give ourselves credit for. If we make excuses, you have to list them. Like, you have to be honest with yourself, and you say, well, I can't because. Okay, just write why, though. We're not judging you. We're just saying, just write what your excuses are. I don't have the money. I'm too old. I don't have the education. My credit is bad. I'm afraid. That's, those are all, some of them are legitimate excuses anyway. But if you say, like, I don't have the money, then the next question would be, what could you do to get the money? How much money are we talking about? What do you need? What do you need to get from point A to point B? If you say, I would love to go to Bali, I've always had this dream to go to Bali, it's on my bucket list. What if that bucket list never gets filled? So what would it take to get to there? And once we identify all those things, then we can start moving forward. But we're making ourselves accountable, because if you look at that list and you go, I'm the problem. I hear this a lot in business classes, like we'll be in business class. So why do you think your business isn't doing as well as it should be? And inevitably, most of us say, it's me. I'm the problem. Like, I am the issue, because I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm afraid to do this, or I'm not taking chances, or I'm slacking on here. So if you are still struggling with your passion and your purpose, it doesn't matter how old you are. There's so many people that have changed careers late in life, gone to school, they received a degree. So what do you say to that, Stefan, when people start saying, I just don't know, and I think I'm too old, or I don't think I have enough education, or why me? What would set me apart? What do you think?
I think you hit on a couple of very important things that I kind of want to pick at as well. I think one of the things is this idea of finding, okay, what am I actually? What is the reason? What is my actual excuse? Because most people, in my experience, instead of pointing fingers at themselves, they'll point the finger at everything and everybody else of why they can't, why they're not able, whatever that excuse may be. Being afraid is a very valid excuse. You have to be honest with yourself that you are afraid. It's just a lot of times we don't want to show that vulnerability, so we refuse and we just kind of push it away. As soon as you can find that out, you can say, I'm refusing to do this because I'm afraid. And maybe that's it. Maybe you stop. Maybe you are so petrified that you never follow your dream. All those inspirational posters and all these people will tell you, no, push through. And you should push through, because most of the time what we're afraid of, it's not really that bad. You can definitely get through. Even with my eye thinking, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to be blind? How could you ever do this or that blind? It's really not that bad. Nowadays with technology, I can tell you, I can get through enough things. Sure, there are days where I go, well, I can't drive. That really sucks. I wish that I could. But there's plenty of other things that you can find. Yes, there are bad days. So that's the first part, is sometimes you just have to be honest with yourself of what is that excuse and that pointing fingers side of things. And the second part is a very similar point of, I'm very surprised to hear that in business, if people are saying, I am the problem, because I also find the opposite to be true. They go, oh, well, the clients just don't understand what I'm trying to tell them. Or they're going, yeah, people are just really not buying it. That's not what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's probably you. You're not explaining yourself well enough. You probably don't understand your own product well enough, and you can't express it. Because most of the time, you wouldn't be in business in any sort of way. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe what you're trying to tell people isn't actually as worth it. It's worth it to you. And so it's this precious, sacred baby specifically to us. And that's fine. Maybe that's just not the business side of things. Maybe that's just your personal side of things.
Yeah.
But that's what I would say around all that.
Yeah. And it's very different when you are doing anything, whether it's business or in your personal life, and you're doing it with passion. Like when it's something that you're passionate about, you're very excited about it, you don't mind speaking about it, somebody asks you, you don't mind telling them, you don't hold back, and they feel that energy from you, you know, and it could be anything. And I really encourage people to, if you really are feeling bored in your life, like if you really feel like I just you know, I'm so sick of everything, then think about what you do every day and on the weekends, and then do something that you've either never done before or you haven't done in a while. You know, like what if you volunteered your time? You know, if you like children, what if you did something that had to do with children? If you like elderly people, what if you did something with, or seniors, you did something with seniors? Anything that you can think of that would make you feel like you have a purpose. It doesn't have to be your purpose, but it's a purpose. And then, like I said, you never know who you might meet that would lead you to the next thing. You know, like right now in where we live and where you live, it's all year round. It's there are all kinds of races and walks and all these things that people can do to raise money for this or that. Or so look them up, you know, and say, I do like being outside. And so see what you can be a part of. And then once you're in with that group of people, it makes you feel like you're a part of something. And then you get to talking with people, and, you know, and so, but do something, you know, like, and think about it for this weekend. Like if you look at your weekend and you go, I don't have anything in particular planned, then you say, okay, what can I do differently? You know, and if you say, well, I've got to take care of the lawn and I've got to take care of the yard and I got laundry to do. Okay, do that after, you know, like what's the big deal if you skipped the cutting the lawn this weekend and just let it grow a little bit longer, you know? Like I tend to do that to myself because I can give myself a gazillion things to do because there's always something to do. But then I thought about it and I'm like, what am I, you know, what can I do tomorrow? Like tomorrow I could just sit and work all day and then just take it easy for the night. Or I could take my daughter, my little one, to this little amusement park that we have tickets for, you know, that we bought through her school that we didn't get to take because it was rainy the day that we were supposed to go. So they're good for any night. So I'm like, why not take it there? And then in my head, I'm like, oh, but Saturday she has a recital and she's going to be gone all day. And she's going to be tired. And I'm like, she's 8. I mean, think about when we were kids, like you said, you know, like we were nonstop. We were always on the go. So who cares? She'll be fine. Like she'll crash Saturday night. So why put that as an excuse? So, you know, okay, bring her there. She'll be excited. Then Saturday she goes to her recital. She does her practice all day and then she does the recital. Then Sunday, what are we going to do Sunday? No plans? Oh, I got an idea. We'll go to Rhode Island and we'll spend the day over there and go to the beach, you know, and it's something different. And we can make every excuse in the book. Oh my gosh, it's the gas prices, this or that. But the gas prices are going to be there. I'm not saying I'm going to travel every single moment of every day and go that far. I don't travel anymore because I work from home. Like it's not even like I'm going every day to a job, traveling, and then saying I'm going to add on more time. It's like, so for me, it's like, I can't even use that excuse because I hardly fill up my car because I don't go anywhere, you know, like, and if I do, sometimes I'll even walk. So I don't even have to use my car. And if I do, it's local. So if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like you're not living your passion, you're not living your purpose, you don't even know what it is, stop being a potato. Stop sitting there and just saying that and making the excuse. Get out, just do something, and then see what, and open yourself up to it. Open yourself up to the possibilities. Right, Stefan? What do you think?
I agree. I like the last part of do something. We're so afraid to do something wrong. We're so afraid of, but I don't know how to start this. What if I make a mistake? Here's the reality. You're going to make a mistake. You will fail. You're going to make a mistake. And it's beautiful. That's exactly how you do it. You were just talking about kids. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how much we tend to plan our, as a parent, you plan the life out of them the whole day of this. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And they're going to do that. And nobody really does that for us. We now all of a sudden have to do with autonomy is all on us. And most likely, if you're getting to the point at the end of the weekend and you're going, I I just want that day completely off. Oh my goodness, we're doing nothing. We have nothing planned. Nothing is the best plan. You're living that kind of life of where you're going, oh, I have to cut the lawn. I have to do this. I have to do this. And you're not living all those other things that you're really wanting and driving to do. And the two pieces that I think are so important for people on those is, one, do something, meaning start as small as you possibly can. That doesn't intimidate you. If that's 30 seconds, do 30 seconds. It can be as small as that, because people go, well, let me do an hour. If you're starting to be unsure about an hour, too much.
Yeah,
right?
Good point. I like that.
And then the second part is, too many of us are guilty of waiting for motivation. And this is just the honest truth. You're never going to get motivated consistently enough. The people that really get it done and go through it, you don't wait for motivation to start. You start and then get motivated later. And you have to do the hardest thing first to do that. Yeah,
I think, and that, I love that point, because I think a lot of people really do. Self-motivation is challenging. We have a tendency to look at all these other people on social media, influencers, personalities, personal development people, even regular lay people, our friends, family members. We're going, oh, look what they're doing. Oh, look what they're doing. It's like, but they're showing you what they're doing at that moment, and maybe they weren't that motivated to do that, but maybe somebody turned around and helped them. Accountability partners are really, really helpful as well. Don't hold back. And well, I have to be careful about saying this. If you have a dream and you have an idea, you have to sit for a moment, though, and decide who you want to share it with, who's worthy to share it with. Because there are people that will just squash it, and then that'll be that. But there are people that will say, you know what? I think you could do it. Go for it. And you want those people to make them accountability partners for you. They check in. And then you can't get mad at them when they call you out on your shit and they say, well, you said you were going to do this. Did you do this today? And you're like, well, I don't want to talk about that, because I've done that myself. I've been that person. I got pissed off. And then you have to stop and say, okay, no, I told you to be that person for me. Like Gladiator Guru is that person for me. And that keeps us in line with moving forward and heading towards what we're passionate and what we're purposeful about. And again, you don't have to necessarily pick it. Sometimes people do. Sometimes people will say, I really love this. I really do. I love this. And I want to pursue a career in this. And then they get in there and they go, oh, this is not what I thought it would be. And I don't really like this. And that's okay. You tried and you saw it's not aligning with you. Like when I first got into what I do, I did it because of the bad place that I was in. And I was, I came out of a depression, and I had all this self-discovery epiphanies and really learned about myself. And then I said, oh my gosh, I don't want anybody to ever feel like I did. And I'm going to become a life coach. And I did. And I did well. Like I had a lot of clients for the first 2 years, but I was a life coach. Like that's what I was. Like if you ask me, that's what I was. Right. And I kept getting people ask me, business people would say things like, well, what's your niche? And I'm like, well, I'm a life coach. You're like, no, but who do you serve? And I'm like, well, everybody. Cause I was so excited. And I was serving men and women. I was serving people of all ages, but then then all of a sudden it wasn't working anymore. Like I wasn't excited about it. And when you lose that passion and then you lose the purpose, you lose your vision. Okay. And when you do that, it's you start to sink and you start to fail. And then that's that. All right. So I lost my footing last year, and then it took a conversation on Clubhouse where I was doing a couple of Clubhouse rooms. They weren't really hitting the mark. And my friend, who's also a business coach, she's like, listen, just keep going, just keep trying. And she's like, what topic do you want to do? And I said, I'm going to talk about narcissists. What the hell? I've done so much research on them, I might as well. And that was the mark. Like all of a sudden I had like over 100 people in the Clubhouse. Right. And before I was like, I had five in the room. Oh, now I'm over 100 people. And as soon as I was done, before I was done, she sent me a text. She goes, call me as soon as you're done, as soon as we're done with this room, because she was in the room. And I called her and she says, this is it. This is it. She goes, I heard it in your voice. I heard how your delivery was. You have found your niche. This is what you need to focus on. And I said to her, I know, you're right. But it was nice to hear it from her, to like to validify, you know. And I just was like, okay. And that's what I did. And from that point, within 3 months, I have grown exponentially because of that little shift. But I didn't. Now, if you said to me in the beginning, this is what you're going to talk about, this is what you're going to coach on, I would have been like, really? Like that specifically? Would have never seen it. It just presented itself to me because of the direction that I was going in. So that's the other piece about your passion, your purpose. Pick something, move forward, but be open to any and all opportunities. And move your ass, right, Stefan? Move your ass.
Yeah, physically, mentally, spiritually, move. From a young age, I've always hated stagnation. Ever since I found out the definition of the word stagnation, I went, okay, I don't like that. Stagnation is not good for me, and that's true. And let me be clear: stagnation and keeping your course are two very different things. Because when you stay your course, you're still moving. That's still a little bit different. But I love hearing that. You literally had to go through failure to a degree of being, okay, I'm no longer happy being a just defined life coach.
Oh, I've went through so many failures.
It's there. People shouldn't be afraid of it. I think so many of us are still afraid of that.
Well, yeah. And the one thing I've always known about myself, because I've been a teacher for almost 20 years, I've always loved teaching. I've always loved speaking. I've been a public speaker for over 20 years. And that piece I always knew. I'm good at it. I love it. You give me in front of an audience, I'm fine. And when I was not allowing that piece to come into play, it was problematic for me. And even just because of all the things with the Zoom calls, I was still teaching, but I was doing more networking and more sharing, and it just wasn't the same. And also I noticed I was sitting on my ass. So actually, because you're standing, and one of the best investments that I got over a month ago was my standing desk, right? So this was a game changer too, because when I got up off my ass, I realized literally, okay, not literally and figuratively, but when I got off my ass, I realized that the freedom of movement as I'm talking to people, and I missed that piece of it when I was speaking in person, because I don't sit still when I'm speaking in person. I don't stand behind a podium and you know, Bueller, anyone. I don't do that. You know, I am like move around. I'm like talking to people. We dance. We do all kinds of fun stuff. So when I brought this piece into even coaching, and I'm like, and then the clubhouse, you're on the phone and I'm walking all over the place. It was a game changer because it got juices flowing, it got blood flowing, and it got more clarity for myself. So did you say you had said you wanted to do some sort of movement activity, didn't you? Or
we absolutely can. Okay. I've got all sorts. I had an interesting one planned that is both a movement and kind of like a way to think about movement at the same time that we can do for a few minutes.
Okay. So tribe, for those of you that are on, we're gonna do a little movement exercise. I gotta move my chair. And so if you are in a position where you can, right, if you want them to stand, I'm assuming?
If you can, go ahead and stand. The way that we're going to do this is I'm going to start out with something gentle that even if you're sitting down, you can do. But ideally, you've already been sitting for a while. And in the most ideal situation, we stand up every 20 to 30 minutes that we're sitting. That's how we should start. But this gives us a good chance to break up that sitting.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. So the most important thing that I can give you within just a few minutes is how we normally move. Most of us do a lot of movement forwards and backwards. We bend down, we reach forward to pick things up. It's all forwards and backwards. We don't have a whole lot of side-to-side movement, and we have very little twisting movement. There's so little twisting movement that we use that word as an injury when you twist your ankle or when you're doing house cleaning and you bend down and twist your back. So let's look at how we can move various parts of our bodies with adding the bending side to side and the twisting gently so that you're more aware of, oh my goodness, these are all the things that my body can do. Now, obviously we can't go through all the complexities, but we're just going to go kind of body part by body part and see what can we do. So we'll start with the head and neck, because if you've been sitting and just staring at the screen, that's stiffened up. So we'll start with the easy one that everybody does so many of the times, and just bringing your chin down to your chest and then lifting it up. And we're just going to do a couple of times back and forth. And what you're doing here is see how far you can go. Don't crank your neck back, because if you're getting pinching in the back there, we don't need to force into that. All right, so that's forwards and backwards. Now let's try side bending. So bring one ear to one side, one to the other. Again, you're not cranking into any of this. You're just saying, okay, how am I moving? Is one side stiffer than the other side? Does that mean that one of my monitors, if I'm using two monitors, is more to one side than the other, and I'm looking at it too much? Possibility. Let's go to the twisting portion. What if I turn my head? How far can I go? Again, don't crank all the way there. If you're hearing popping, it's okay. Popping's fine. As long as it's not painful, popping's perfectly fine.
Self-adjusting, that's what we call it in the chiropractic community.
Yeah. All right, so that's easy, right? What about our arms? What about our shoulders? What does that look like? So same thing, all the way up, stretch up overhead, forwards and backwards, pretty easy. We do this all the time. We lift things up. We can even bring things to us. All of this kind of forwards and backwards stuff, we do a lot. What about out to the side? So kind of your snow angels out to the sides kind of movements. We still do that, but
it feels good though, you know.
It feels good. You get to stretch out a little bit, especially if you're standing up, you get to reach up. And if you're sitting down, you still can reach up.
This also wakes you up, everybody. When you start moving around and you start circulating, sometimes people get very fatigued sitting down and in front of a computer. But when you start moving around, it's like a cup of coffee, because you're releasing chemicals in your body. So you're going to feel more awake and more alert. So if you're stuck on certain things, move around, get away from the screen, walk around and stretch and move around.
Yeah. And the last one for this is, okay, what do you do about the twisting? So I'm going to do it so I can show you my hands. So if I turn back and forth, this is a lot of the twisting. Now here's the catch. If you're going in like this, where your fingers are coming in, a lot of times with your arms up here, you might get some pinching at your shoulders. So you might have to keep your arms down and see what happens when you twist back and forth. Just putting your palm, and it's just saying, okay, what am I able to do? How are these things feeling? Last one that we're going to do is we're going to go for the back, for the spine, and you could do this for any joint if you think about it. You could do this for your legs as much as you want. Your knees, don't twist. Don't try to twist them. They shouldn't do that, but they do bend. I promise you that. All right. If you are standing up, do this one with me gently, but we're doing kind of the low back and the spine and partially the hips. We're bending forward to your toes. You don't have to actually touch your toes. I'm going to go out of screen here for a second, but I promise you.
Me too.
Yep. That's the noise you want. That's the noise you want. Coming back up. When you bend back, be very careful. So many of us, when we sit, are compressing that low back. You might get some pinching. So back and forth, just gentle. And maybe you just come down, touch your knees, and come back up. Maybe it's just a small movement as this. Perfectly fine. So we do this one a lot. Now let's get into the interesting ones. The side to side. If you just glide your arm to the side, back and forth. This is probably going to be a good one for people to do if you're usually sitting and you kind of pop your hip out to one side while you sit. Most likely one side is going to be tighter than the other. So this is where you're starting to notice this. What are the differences? And then the last little bit is just twisting. I like to keep my arms up here because then I know that I'm not doing this, which is not, this is just me moving my arms. That's not actually me twisting. And so just twisting back and forth gently. And now we get to my favorite part. This is the hardest part, and this is also the most fun part. It's hard because people think it's very complex, but I just want you to play here. You can now put all of these together however you want to. So we have the side bend, and we have the little angel. So now all of a sudden we can side bend with the arm over, and we can go alternate back and forth. Right? Now we're adding these little pieces together. And you're getting so much more movement as you're doing all of this. You can add in a little head motion side to side if you really want to. Same thing with the twisting. You can twist, and then we can do the raising of the arm up as we twist. up, and then we can alternate.
Oh, I like that.
All of a sudden, how many movements can you think of? I mean, there's really an infinity of these combinations.
My bra straps keep falling. I don't usually wear a bra, but today I did. You know, the interesting thing is this, that I think it's funny as an adult, we have to give ourselves instructions and we have to follow somebody. But when you're a child, you just move, like you just do all these crazy stuff and you're always moving. And that's actually part of the problem with the young people today, because they don't move as much. You know, you're a lot younger than me, Stefan, but when I was a kid, I mean, we were always out. We were always on our bikes. We were roller skating. We were skateboarding. We were climbing trees. We were playing, baseball, soccer, volleyball, like in the neighborhood. You know, we were always out. We were walking. So we moved a lot. We moved in a lot of different directions. We were always very, very, very few people were overweight as children. And now it's like, I was watching this the other day, and this was really concerning for me. And I know it's time for us to go, but I just wanted to leave you with this because of what you do and because of what I do. I volunteered at my daughter's, I didn't volunteer. I was watching my daughter. They were doing a fun run to raise money for the school. And I'm watching all these children who are in 3rd and 4th grade, because her grade is 3rd. And they can't even run properly. Like they don't even have a normal run. And they definitely couldn't keep going around in the circle. My kid was one of them. And I'm looking at this going, it's funny. Like they even look awkward running. Like you could tell they're going to injure themselves because they can't run properly. And in my head, I'm going, why is this happening? Because they don't run, and they're definitely not running together. So it's like when we were kids, we just learned how to do it because everybody did it. It's like you learned how to run at an early age, and that's where you went. You want to get from point A to point B quick, you ran, Now it's like they just, one of these, they're like slugs. I always call my kids, you're slugs. They walk like a slug. But so this, as an adult, this is part of it. Do you understand what we're trying to say to you? We're just not having you move to just say, this is like, how does this even fit into passion, purpose, and potato? It means get off your butt. Don't be the potato. If you want to be a potato every so often or a little bit every day, that's fine. We do need to be still, but get up and move. If you are bored with your life and you're feeling stuck, then get up and do something and then see where that leads you to. If you're close enough to a store that normally you take your car to, and it's 3 miles away, see what it would take for you to walk there today. Pack up and say, wow, how am I going to carry stuff? Get a backpack, walk to the store, grab your stuff, and then walk back, and just think outside the box, because that's what you have to think outside the box to discover your passion and purpose, especially when you're stuck and you're stagnant. Any last words, Stefan, before we go? And thank you for this, by the way.
Sure, absolutely. The one thing, it's honestly just because of what you just said. I've got a book that's called Sit Less, and the whole point is really just the idea that we don't need to be exercising a whole lot, and that we can find movement throughout the day in other ways. Be that through chores, be that through the way that we are doing our usual work. So if you're feeling like, yeah, I'm probably not going to put on a backpack and go walk for 3 miles, what else you got? This is what else we got. So instead of talking about all of it, there's plenty of stuff there. And it really takes the idea of, it's not necessarily about moving more, but maybe it's about sitting less. And that's also a lot of what I talk about in the TED Talk.
I love that. I love that. And I get the book. And the other thing too is, don't overthink. Like kids don't overthink. We didn't overthink when we were kids. Just move. That's an expression that you need to put in your vocabulary as a sentence. Just move, because you can do anything. You don't have to. Again, adults, we're always thinking, oh, I've got to exercise. I've got to think about. I've got to, go exercise. I've got to do I've got so much background noise today. I've got to go to the gym. No, you don't. You have kids, take them to the playground and play with them. Don't just sit on the bench on your phone. play with them. Really, you don't have to think it through. And once you start getting out and doing that piece of it, I think the juices will start flowing and you will help yourself find your passion and purpose. I just want, before we go, Kathy says, slow moving stretching. I haven't done this since right before my mama passed. I did these gentle stretching exercises with her. Gentle stretching also helped me when I had a frozen shoulder twice. Different shoulder. Yeah, I had frozen shoulder too. All right. So music and dancing has been my movement recently. All right. Whatever excites you. So with that, my dogs are telling me I got to go. Stefan, thank you so much. For those of you that are still here, please look in the comments, direct links to get to Stefan. Check out his book, check out his TED Talk, and check out his website. And Stefan, thank you. It's been phenomenal. We really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. And next week, we will have a special guest. Kathy Ruiz will be helping us out on Tuesday while Gladiator Guru is traveling back from Portugal. So here we go. And remember, from the Badass Buddha, we miss you, Gladiator Guru. We know you couldn't stay. It was too loud in the cafe, she said, and her connection was really bad. So from the Badass Buddha, have a great weekend. And remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary. Namaste.